a sauna in here, isn't it? You knew that, mate. You actually got on shorts and t-shirt.
Okay, so James, JD, BBC Radio guys, then we're opening up to the rest of you, the boys. James, would you agree?
Cool. Good to see you again, Rob.
And you, James.
How much are you looking forward to this one tomorrow against Chelsea and that extra week, of course, to prepare for it?
Really looking forward to the game. This is what we've all worked so hard for. Nights like this, Friday night football at Stamford Bridge. You know, it's a big reward for all the hard work that, you know, everyone at the football club has put in for a long time. You know, that being said, we want to enjoy the occasion by putting on a really good performance.
Yeah, and in terms of Chelsea as well, what do you make of the start there, maybe?
They've dominated both games in large periods, for large periods of time. You know, they had a lot of the ball against Liverpool. I think after Salah's goal that got ruled out, you know, they really grew into it and looked very good. I've been at both games live, been lucky enough to be able to get to both of them, and again, they dominated large spells against West Ham. You know, they'll be frustrated that they've not taken something from the game, but I can see a lot of good stuff from them. You know, people will be looking at the results first and foremost, I get that, but in terms of performances and individual players' performances as well, there's a lot of good things there, so we're well aware it's a difficult game for us.
And you're looking forward to coming up against Maurizio?
Yeah, he's a world-class manager, isn't he? It'll be great to be alongside him on the touchline, but again, we want to be able to give a really good account of ourselves and be competitive in the game.
Now, some of those who could feature, could Ross Barkley maybe come up against his old club, maybe a point to prove as well?
He could indeed. He's been training with us obviously now for a couple of weeks. Been delighted with him, so he's certainly in the mix, yeah.
Cool. In terms of others, I've noticed there's Reece Burke back in training, is that right?
Burke, he's been back in as well, which is really good for us, gives us more depth in that area. You know, been a little bit stretched with some of the injuries that we had on the back line recently, so great to have him back in training over this last 10 days or so.
So he won't be obviously ready for tomorrow, though, of course.
No, he's in a position where he could be. He's ready to be selected.
Great, super. And I know this is a question you get asked a lot, but transfer targets, is anything a bit closer? Can I ask you more about, you know, which areas you might be targeting? Is midfield quite an important one, maybe, to try and get somebody in before the window shuts?
I'm really happy with what we've been able to do. I've got to stress that we are still looking to strengthen in one or two areas, but you know, there's loads of spaces left, so there's got to be the right individuals. So you can ask me. I'm not going to tell you what positions at the moment or what areas, but we are still looking to try and do a little bit more. But again, I've got to stress it. I'm really happy with the business that we've been able to do. We've had a really good window.
And just on that as well, the loan market, is that something that you might be looking at?
Still looking at it. Obviously, we've got one space, a UK space available, and can still look in, you know, from abroad as well. So we're well aware of what we can do. Issa Kabore, you know, on loan from City, has made a really good impact at the moment. So we have got one more space available from the UK. So yeah, we'll see what we need to do. But I'll, again, stress it. Happy with the group that we've got so far, but I am keen to try and add one or two more.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
JD there, PLP. Rob, morning, everything else. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I think I want to start off and just asking you. You've had a week to reflect, right? So
More than that now. Yeah.
How did the start feel? How did the debut feel? And just overall the experience. Now you go into the second week, and what do you reflect upon that experience that now you can take into game?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I feel really positive. We've had a really good couple of weeks. We took a lot from that game. I think if I'm speaking really open and honestly, you can watch as much Premier League football as you want, but until you're actually in it, or you stood on the sideline like I was, or till the lads are in it and they feel it, nothing quite prepares you for that. So we were able to take a lot from that game. And I saw lots of good things, but there was areas that we've got to focus on. We had to try and improve very, very quickly. Because what's really evident now is that there's a lot of killers in this league where they'll see space, they'll take it, and they can find that pass, you know. So you can't leave those gaps. And we did a little bit too much in the first game. We've worked really, really hard to improve. We've had a lot of new players that have come in as well, so it's given us another 12, 13 days to prepare and get other people up to speed and help them to gel in the group as well. So actually I think the break has been really good for us to reflect, learn quickly, really have an impact and act on it in training as well. And I'm hoping that we see improvement tomorrow night. I'm pretty sure we will do.
some managers like the window to be closed before obviously the season starts. Some managers don't mind because they can make the adjustments as the season's going on. The integration of those players that you're talking about, and those players that's coming into your squad, how difficult is it to get them up to speed so quickly, and how difficult is it to integrate them as well?
It's been relatively easy. I mean, first of all, we've got a brilliant group of people that welcome new players in, so that, in terms of settling in period, that's easy for them. We're a really open group, and that's good. In terms of the training, then they could be at different stages, you know, of pre-season, so we've got to be mindful of that, and we've got to then try and get their load correct, because we obviously don't want people to come in and then break down straight away. You want to be able to push people, but you push too hard, we can break them. But we've got to be able to push enough now to know what levels we're going into. Now we've really seen it and felt it, we've got to push harder, which we've been able to do over the last couple of weeks as well. So it's not been tough to integrate, but that's where you need to utilise the staff. We've got brilliant people in our S&C department, the medical department as well, so they get a real good background of where the players are at before they come in, and then we can plan accordingly from there.
I always wonder from a manager perspective, because you deserve to be here as one of the top managers in the country in terms of standing on the sideline and leading your team. But how do you engage, and how does the mental battle against one of the other top managers in the country, in Pochettino? Do you engage in that aspect?
I try not to have any kind of mental battle with anyone. I'll just try and focus on us and what we can control. I think that's probably the standard answer. I'm not going to try and have any kind of mind games at all. We'll concentrate on us, trying to be the best us we can be, whilst completely respecting the league and the opposition that we're coming up against now. We want to try and be us, but we know that the us from last year is going to have to change a little bit. We were happy at times not to have the ball as much last year in the Championship. We know that that's going to be the case again this year, but we've got to be better in a lot of moments now. We've got to do the basics even better. We've got to close spaces even better. We've got to be much more devastating in transition when we can be. We had good moments of that against Brighton, but then lacked that kill a bit. So there's areas that we know we can improve in, but we'll concentrate on what we can control. And people can make what they want of all the touchline stuff and the mind games, but that stuff's not for me. I've got to try and focus on us.
Knowing some of the characters that you have in the changing room, I know they're going to follow the same sort of mentality that you have about focusing. This is another question about the outside noise, one more time. So much headlines about the vast difference in terms of the investment between the two clubs. I want to know from the opposite perspective, does it give you extra motivation? Because we know that football is just a game of 11 versus 11, and anybody can turn themselves over at any point. So does it give you extra motivation in there when you hear the headlines about the difference between the two clubs?
Yeah, we know what we're going into this year, and we know externally, and I get it, by the way, that we'll be written off by a lot of people. And, we will be second favourites in a lot of the games that we're going into. It's understandable, that's nothing to be taken personally. It's just understandable. We get our heads around that. I've got to be honest, I think it helps us. I do. I said this, previously building into the Brighton game, it probably helped us last year as well. We have our own standards, our own beliefs. I know what these players are capable of. I've got total belief and faith in them that we can be competitive in every game. I'm not saying we're going to go and win every game. I know that's not going to be the case, but I think we can compete. I think what we've got to make sure we learn is we don't give gifts away. We don't allow opposition teams to have that easy, that freebie. So those are some of the things that we've obviously again taken from the last game. But the other teams are going to be favourites. That's fine. I think it puts more pressure on them and it takes it off us. But again, this room, when I'm having a meeting in here with the players this morning, I'm stressing that, we want to go and win this game, and that'll always be our message before every game.
Just lastly for myself, two great additions in terms of both Tim and Ross and what they're going to bring. I just want to know from your perspective, what is it when you look at their experience, their quality, what is it that you're looking to see from them going into this year as well?
Well, yeah, clearly they give us the experience of this level, which we hadn't had loads of that. So that is important. But quality and real competition in those areas as well. So everyone that we've tried to bring in, we've tried to make sure they're the right person, the right type of player for what we need to be able to play our way. So they both help with that. But it certainly helps that they've got a lot of Premier League experience as well, because we will have tough moments, and we can lean on their experience. I can lean on their experience as well, So they'll be key throughout the season. But great people, really, really top players, and hungry and ambitious as well. That's really key. You know, they want to play, they want to have an impact. You know, and if they lacked that, then I wouldn't have brought them to the football club, because we've got a hungry group of players there that want to achieve something. But Tim and Ross have still got a lot to prove as well, which is great for me. Thank you.
Yeah, just one for me, actually. It's only recently that the club played Chelsea in the Cup with a handful of players who are still in the building. How important is that you've still got them? I know it's a completely different game, but those bodies helping the squad for tomorrow.
Yeah, they've got experience of it, Donny, of course. You know, it's slightly different now being away from home. But the group that we've got have got experience of big games. You know, every game for us now is going to be big, but again, this is why we work so hard. We want to be in these games. The players deserve to be in these games. But that is good for those that were involved to be able to lean on that, you know, and you know, a really good performance as well that night. So yeah, perhaps something that we can lean on. It's not something we've spoken about, I've got to be honest, because there's been lots of change, I suppose, at both clubs now. But if that helps the few that were involved, then great. Thank you.
Rob, how are you? You all right?
All good, Jeff.
You've spoken about Burke. What's the latest with Potts and Osho?
Yeah, it's still out for a while. I mean, Potsy, like I said, same as Clicker, they'll be out for a number of months, unfortunately. Gabe's slightly different, but he's not out on the grass yet, so he's not one we can consider in the near future, unfortunately. You know, he's, as all the lads are, they're really devastated that they can't be involved and have an impact right away now. Again, they've been looking forward to it so much over the summer. But, you know, such is life now. They've got to really knuckle down. We've got a brilliant group of staff that are looking after them and hopefully going to get them back as quickly as possible. But disappointing for them. But then I've got to really focus on the group that are available at the moment that can make that impact on the pitch. Still getting around them and making sure they're involved, and we're seeing them on a daily basis. They're coming in the meetings and being part of the group, and that's important. I don't want to isolate anyone. They're really, really important to us, but just can't quite affect us on the grass yet.
Does it make it tricky that you've got, well, one's come back, but you've got three who have been out, and as far as transfers are concerned, you could bring someone in, but then you're going to end up with, say, 6 centre-halves. Are you trying to work around that?
Yeah, we're looking at that, but at the same time, we need really good competition in those areas. That area of the pitch is really important. So we've got to get the balance right. You know, I'm aware that they could be back soon, and then, you know, you don't want to have too many people, but we do need the right competition and the right numbers. And over the course of a season, you know, we need to make sure we don't leave ourselves short. So it could be an area that we look to try and add numbers into. But again, got to be the right type of people for us and the right level of player, because what those guys give us is they're top performers. You know, they're important players that are missing at the moment. And I know they'll come back in the next few months and they can really help us.
Might it be the final week of the transfer window when the business gets done?
It could be. I mean, that's the one I've got a crystal ball, and I couldn't tell you, you know, right away now. But I think any manager will tell you they want to try and get the business done as quickly as possible. But you know, there's a lot of variables in these kinds of things, and it's not just, you're not just dealing with one party. There's a lot of things that could be involved, and you know, could be the club, could be another player, an agent, and you know, and everyone's got to be, it's got to suit everyone. So you know, we'll try and get things done as quickly as possible, and on the one or two that we want to try and complete. But you know, as in terms of a time frame, I don't know.
You spent a week or so with Ross Barkley out on the training ground. What's your assessment been of him? I mean, he's got undoubted talent, hasn't he? We've seen that over the years. What have you felt for this first 7 days or so? It's
been more than that now that he's been training. You know, it was a few days before the Brighton game, so it's been over a couple of weeks now that he's been training, and I've been really impressed. I'm not surprised at all. You know, he is a top player, and like I said before, he's really hungry, and I think he's got a bit between his teeth and wants to show people as well. So, you know, I think he'll make a really big impact for us this season. I'm very excited to see him out on the pitch for us. As for how he's been so far in the first couple of weeks, brilliant. Settled in straight away, showed real humility. His work rate's been top, and his quality's there for all to see. And I think, you know, with everyone that we've brought in, in recent weeks, it's really raised the level of the group as well, because I think people see he's a good player, and then it kicks other people on as well. So it does have a real impact in the group.
Chelsea have spent about 900 million in the last 2 seasons. Midfielders, it's been 160 in about 7 days. But it's an odd one, isn't it? Because you won't want that to be an excuse. Do you see what I mean? It's a funny one where you're against crazy numbers, but you can't use that as an excuse, I'm assuming.
No, those numbers don't play the game. So it's players, it's human beings that play the game. And like I said, I've got complete belief in our group. You know, they've still got to try and gel as well. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure they won't be fully in their rhythm as yet. Like I said, there's been really good performances over the 2 games. They might not have got the results that they've wanted fully. I suppose a draw against Liverpool is not a bad result, ever. But they're still going to keep improving. It's probably a good time to play them. There'll be an expectancy which we can play on. That's fine. So I don't mind that being the underdog. We can play on that and we can use it. But again, I've got complete belief that we can compete with them. The numbers don't matter. Get over that white line. When the whistle goes, it's 11 people against 11 people. Let's go and have a right good go.